Hello, I'm Doug Bryson of the Spartanburg County Office of Emergency Management. Today we're in the Spartanburg County Emergency Operations Center to talk a little bit about winter weather emergency preparedness. And with me today is Kelly Stafford of the American Red Cross. Kelly, what does the Red Cross recommend people do for winter weather preparedness?
The Red Cross recommends that everybody has a kit to get prepared for winter weather. You want to have a kit with such supplies as water, you want to have a kit with food, you want to have at least a 3-day supply. And in the 3-day supply with the water, you want to make sure you have at least a gallon per day per person. You also want to make sure that you have your medicines, all your medications. You also want to make sure that you have supplies for your pets if you should have pets. You want to make sure that you have battery-powered radios. Try to avoid candles if at all possible, simply because with the candles you could start a fire.
We also recommend that you prepare your car as well should you get stranded out on the road. Have some blankets and some non-perishable food items, as well as a battery-powered radio and other essential supplies in the trunk should you get stranded, and make sure you have a cell phone charger that you can run off of your vehicle. Also, Kelly, I know on the American Red Cross, on your website as well as many other websites, there's ideas that people can use to put together a kit. We have that available on our Spartanburg County Emergency website, as well as ready.gov and also FEMA.gov. They give a lot of good suggestions on how to put a kit together for your vehicle or for your house. Is there anything else that comes to mind you can relay?
As far as your car, it's always good to make sure you have a full tank of gas, especially if you know the weather's going to get inclement. With the weather getting bad, it's good to have a full tank of gas just in case you do have to travel. They do recommend not to travel if you can, at all possible, especially if the roads are icy, simply because of the cold weather and simply because it could be dangerous as well.
I know we do a lot of work with the utilities in the area, including Duke Energy, Lawrence Electric, and places such as that. And they're doing the best they can. And the best recommendation that we do give is if you do not have to go out on the road, stay home and be prepared for in case the power does go out. And if it's too bad for you to go out, then a lot of times it's too bad for us to come and assist you. So you may have to be on your own for just a little while, but we do recommend having alternate heating sources. And like you said, if you're going to use a generator, let's make sure that it is outside. If you have a fireplace, make sure you have plenty of dry firewood ready. And it just may take a day or two for the utilities to be turned back on.
And if the power should be off more than several days, typically we would open a shelter where there is a power source. The Red Cross would do this under emergency management, and we would invite anyone who is in the cold to come to the shelter and stay.
That's a good point you bring up about sheltering, Kelly, because we always get calls at our 911 center as soon as the power goes off about how soon a shelter will be open. Sometimes it takes a while because, like Kelly said, we have to find a shelter that has power and heat and can be opened up in a relatively short amount of time. And sometimes that just takes a little while because the people that run the shelters have to get out in this weather and travel on the same roads as well too. So we just ask that the people be patient, and if you or your loved one needs to come to a shelter, we ask that you bring all your necessities with you, any medications. If it's an elderly person, we ask that a caregiver accompany them and stay with them at the shelter, not to just drop them off, but the Red Cross needs all the help they can at these shelters. In the event of a prolonged power outage, we ask that you do not call 911. We want to leave those lines open for real emergencies. We ask that you call your specific electric provider, whether it be Duke Energy and their 1-800-POWER-ON number, or the other numbers that are provided by Lawrence Electric and Broad River Electric, whoever your electric company should be. So please, we want to keep everybody safe. It gets very dangerous out there, especially with the icy roads and the icy conditions. I know one time in particular in my neighborhood, I happened to be out around my house after an ice storm, and I heard somebody crying. It was an elderly neighbor of mine who thought she could go out and get her newspaper and had fallen in her driveway and had laid there for quite some time. So fortunately, we were able to get to her. She was not injured, but she just could not get up on the icy surface. But she could have very easily have broken her hip or leg or arm. So please be careful and don't venture out if the conditions get bad, as they tend to do this time of the year. Unfortunately, this part of the country, we tend to see more ice than we do snow, and that is really a concern of ours. We'd much rather deal with snow than ice, because ice is what tends to bring the power lines down more and cause more motor vehicle accidents.
Two is the fire and EMS personnel are always going to be tied up in conditions like that because people are afraid to get out, so they do call 911 more in order to have a ride to the hospital or get to the hospital for a specific situation. So be patient. Have your battery-powered radio on, listen for the news, listen for where the nearest shelter is, and if you absolutely need to come to a shelter, then it's okay to travel on roads, but be very careful. Make sure to drive very carefully.